And then you write what's left over. And what's left over on this side is 2. We have a plus 5AC. That is GCF, and you're done. Okay, that is GCF. Then we go down to number 8. It's 4 terms, but again, we're just doing GCF. We don't have to do anything else. So that's your number one thing. You always want to start with GCF. But they're all positives except for that negative 10. We'll work with that in a minute, okay? So factors of 10 are 2 and 5. And you have 6 m's, and I usually just stack them. Then I have a big plus. I have a 3 p's and 2 q's, and then I have a minus. 10 is 2 and 5 and a q. And then I have a plus 2. And anytime I just have one number there, I always write a times 1. Okay, that way if I circle it, it doesn't confuse you that there's nothing left. So if there's only one number, I just type, or I'll just write a 1. Like this one, you may want to put 3 times 1. Okay. So then we look through all of them. Is there a 2? I only work with this one. Is there a 2 in all of them? Yes or no? No, so we don't worry about that. Is there a 5 in all of them? No. Is there an M in all of them? No. This one doesn't have a GCF. Then the GCF is 1. So if it asks you about it, it's 1. So that's why I wanted to go ahead and do this one. There's nothing you can do. And you're done. You do not have to write that 1 to the outside. But if it asks you multiple choice, what's the GCF? Your GCF is going to be 1. All right, I'm going to go back up to number 2, and then I'll do one of the ones, either 1 or 3 or 6 with a negative. Okay, so I'm going to go back up to number 2. What are your factors of 24? Give me a set of factors quickly. What can I multiply together to get 24? 6 and 4. 6 is 2 and 3. 4 is 2 and 2. I have 3 C's and a B, and then I have a plus. So I break it down as much as I possibly can. So one more time, 24 was 6 times 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay, break it down as much as possible. 8, what are your factors of 8?
4 and 2.
4 and 2. So 2 and 4 is 2 and 2. We have 3 C's and an A and a plus. There's 24 again. So we said it was 2, 3, 2, and 2. And then we have a C and a B. My 3's look awful today. Happy Monday. Ugh. All right, start with this very first one and just go through this first one. Does everything have a 2? Yes or no? Yes. I'm going to circle my 2's. Do they have a 3? No, so don't circle that one. We do have 2 more 2's in each one. So I'm going to circle both of those. We have a C in each one, but only 1 C in each one because this one only has 1. And then we don't have a B in the middle term, so we can't circle it. Okay, so it's got to be in every one the same amount of times. Then we just put it together. What's 2 times 2 times 2? Be careful about this. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, and we circled a C. That's your GCF. Then you write down the leftovers. So in this first one, there's a 3, 2 C's, and a B. A 3, 2 C's, and a B. In the middle one, there's just 2 C's and an A, and it doesn't matter what order you write those in. If you write AC squared because you're a little bit OCD and you like it in alphabetical order, it's the same answer, so you're fine. All right, and then in the last one, there's 3 and B, and that's it. We're going to move to number 3. Number 3. You never want to start your factoring like you want to pull a negative out if there's a negative in front. So like when we get to our A equals 1 or A does not equal 1, we want to make sure that we don't have a negative in front. So when we look at number 3 and we have a negative in front, the way we work with that is this is negative 1 times 30. 30 is 3 and 10. 10 is 2 and 5. We have 2 x's and a z. 27 is 3 times 9. 9 is 3 times 3. We have an x and 2 y's. So the way I work with that negative is I just take that -1 and pull it out, and it changes this sign. Okay, so it's a sign changer. What else comes out? What do they have in common? Do they have a 3? Yes. Do they have a 2? No. Do they have a 5? Nope. Do they have an x? Just 1. They don't have a z, so that's your GCF. So a -1, 3, and x. We left 2 times 5 is 10, xz. Remember, we changed that to a minus because we pulled out that -1. 3 times 3 is 9, and 2 y's. You want to clean this up to just be -3x, 10xz minus 9y squared. If you can see it without having to break it down, do that. What is in common between 15, 5, and 10? A 5, right? So I don't have to break this down because I already know that's what's in common. But remember, I don't like the negative in front, so I'm going to take it out. Are there any letters in common? They all have x. The littlest number is 1x, so they all have 1x. And they all have 1y in common. So you don't have to break it down if you don't need to, okay? I took out the negative, so that's gone. 15 divided by 5 is what? 3. I took out 1x, so I still have 1 left. I took out the y, but I did not take the z. Remember, taking out a negative changes the sign, so this is going to change to a negative. How do I know that? 5 divided by -5 is -1. I took out 1x and 1y, so that just left me with 1y. And then 10 divided by -5 is -2, and I took out that x and that y. If you can do it in your head, you do not have to write it down. If you need to write it down, go ahead and write it. Okay? Any questions on GCF? Everybody okay? If that's the case, we're going to move on. So first step to factoring is always GCF. That's your first step to factoring. I'm going to make you a little flow chart when we finish and add to it tomorrow when we do more factoring, okay? Tomorrow's factoring is a little more time consuming than this one will be. All right, so factor each completely, use grouping and GCF. So if we have 4 terms, we do grouping. 4 terms, we do grouping. What does that mean? Let me see. I'm going to start with 13 since it's all positives, okay? Start 13. We group the first 2 and the last 2, and I always keep that sign with that first number right there, okay? So that middle sign goes with the next to last number. Do GCF with each set of parentheses. So 240 breaks into 24 and 10. 24 is 2 times 12. 12 is 2 times 6. 6 is 2 times 3. 10 is 2 and 5. And we had 4 Ks. And you guys can do this on a separate sheet of paper. You can do it above it like I'm doing it or whatever. Then we had a plus. 40 is 8 times 5. 8 is 3 2s and a 5. And 3 Ks. Guys, I don't typically break it down. I just do it in my head. If you can do it in your head, please do it in your head. So what do we have in common? We have 3 2s. We have a 5. And we have 3 Ks. 5 times 2 is 10. Times 2 is 20. Times 2 is 40. And we had 3 Ks in common. And then we look at what we left. We left 3 times 2k, which is 6k. And then over here, remember what I told you, when you circle everything, we still have a factor of 1. So this one will be plus 1. So again, if you circle everything, you still always have a factor or a GCF of 1. Okay. And the next one, 30 and 5. Again, I would just break it down however you want to. I wouldn't break this one down because I already know it. 30 is 5 times 2 is 10 times 3 is 30 and 2k. 5 is just 5 and k. They have a 5 and k in common. It's a positive 5k. I didn't take out a negative. And then if you look, what did I leave right here? 2 times 3 is 6k. What do I write when I circle everything? 1. You guys see how these are the same? That means you did it right. Okay, so if it asks you to do it by grouping, these are going to come out exactly the same. If they don't come out the same, you got to start over. Something went wrong. Okay, so my first factor that I'm going to write down is what's in common, 6k plus 1. Your other factor is what you left outside, 40k cubed plus 5k. This is your factored form. These two are the worst, okay? So not hard, they just take some time, okay? So they're the worst time-consuming problems. All right, I'm going to go up to number 10. Number 10 just has some negatives with it. It's not a problem. Remember, we're going to group first 2 and the last 2, and I like to keep that next to last sign with that term it's with, okay? 2k cubed is 2 and 3k's. We have 8, which is 3 2's and 2k's. What do they have in common? Anybody, what do they have in common? A 2 and a k. So that's going to come out. And you write what you left over, 2k's, so k squared. 2 times 2 is 4 times k is 4. Wait a minute, 2k's. Hold on, I screwed it up. Two k's, so 2k squared, and it leaves you with k plus 4. Sorry about that. In the back, negative 3k minus 12. Negative 3k is negative 1, 3, and k. And then I'm going to change this to a plus. Negative 12 is negative 1, 2, 2, and 3. You can clearly see they both have a negative in common, so it's got to be a negative on the outside, okay? So there's your negative 1 in common. And then they have a 3 in common. So we took out a negative 3. It left me with k plus 4. If your parentheses are the same, you did it right, and you write them down, and then you write your leftovers. 2k squared minus 3. Look at number 11. It is the same exact thing that we just did. Again, if you can do it in your head, I do it in my head. If you can do it in your head, go do that. What's in common between 3n cubed and n squared? Just 2 n's. They don't have any numbers in common. So I'm going to take 2 n's out. That left me with a 3 and 1n. And then n squared divided by n squared is 1. I took all of that out. Remember, there's always a 1 left. If we look at the next one, negative 18 and negative 6, they both have a negative in common. What do 18 and 6 have in common? 6. So we're going to take out a negative 6. 18 divided by negative 6 is positive 3, and there was an n. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is a positive 1. There's your two factors. I'm going to write them up here. Sorry, y'all. I'm not going to do number 9. N squared minus 6 is one of your factors, and 3n plus 1. The reason I write it this way is to let you know it doesn't matter which way you write it, okay? And if you do it on the EDIA app, which you're doing today, it doesn't matter which factor you put first, okay? Just watch the way that you type it in. The last one on this one I'm going to do is number 12. Number 12, and the reason is because they have the negative signs right here, okay? What's in common between 24 and 64? 24 and 64. If I break it down, I'm going to do this on a separate sheet of paper so you guys can see it. I'll do it on the Post-it note. 24 is 8 times 3 and 3 m's. 64 is 8 times 8, which will be 6 2's and 2 m's. What do they have in common? 3 2's, which is 8, and 2 m's. Let's slide this down so you guys can still see it. So this has 8 m squared. What did we leave? In the first, we left 3m. It was a minus because I didn't take a negative out. And 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. If we do the other parenthesis, 9 is 3 and 3 and an m. 24 is 6 and 4. What do they have in common? 3. So I have a 3, it's a positive 3. Read what you left, 3m minus, and 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So your parentheses are the same, you know you did it right, 3m minus 8. And then what did I have on the outside? 8m squared plus 3. Any questions on grouping? And again, you did this in Math 1, probably did a little bit of it in Math 2, but you might have forgotten Math 2. It's okay. All right, we're going to flip it. That's all the grouping I'm going to do. Everything else is exactly the same. They're just bigger numbers. And then this one, you've had me before, or maybe your sister's had me before. I'll write it out. So right now, I call this one the cheater method. It is really quick. Okay, that's real quick. So the reason it's called cheater method, and we don't have a number in front. Now I know that we do on 19 and 22. Those couple that have numbers in front, I'll get to those, but we're going to work on the ones that don't. They are like 2-second problems, okay? As long as you know your multiplication tables, you're going to be fine. I will show you how to find them if you don't know your multiplication table. So when we get to the bigger ones, I'll show you those, all right? So all you're trying to do is find factors of the last number, factors of the last, that add to the middle, and make sure you use your signs. These are all positive, so the 4 is positive and the 5 is positive. So your factors of 4 are 1 and 4 and 2 and 2. Which set adds to 5? 1 and 4, right? So you use your variable, and we had a positive 1 as a factor, your variable, and a positive 4 as a factor. That's it. Don't make it more complicated than what it is. All right, so on number 18, we want factors of the last that add to the middle, but this time we're adding to a negative 12, okay? I want a positive 20, but a negative 12. So that's going to be 1 and 20, 2 and 10, 4 and 5, or I need a negative 12. We're going to have to be able to subtract them, okay, or add them up. So negative 1 and negative 20 would give me a positive 20, but add to negative 21. So I need to be able to get a negative. So negative 2 and negative 10, or negative 4 and negative 5. Which factors that give me a positive 20 add to negative 12? Okay, so my variable is p and a -2, p and a -10. Now, what's really cool is you guys get to use your calculators the whole time. Sorry, I got to get my calculator. I'm going to put my face back up there in a second. All right, watch this. In your y equals, make sure there's nothing in there. I'm going to do number 20. In y1, you're going to put the last number divided by x. And in y2, you'll put the last number divided by x plus x. If it's a negative, make sure you put a negative, okay? And we'll do one that has a negative in a minute. So in y1, 28 divide x. And in y2, 28 divide x plus x. In your table, look for positive 11 in the y2 column. So second graph. Here's negative 11, but I want positive 11, right? There's my positive 11 in the y2. What are the two numbers out to the side? Those are your answers, x plus 7 and x plus 4. Those are your two factors. So positives are really easy. It's when you get those negatives that you're not sure which factor should be negative, which should be positive, and your calculator will help you do that. And again, you get to use your calculator the whole time, so don't stress out about it too much. So let's look at 21. Look at 21. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to try to keep my answers up there real fast. I'm going to go into y equals. I need the last number divide x, last number divide x plus x. What are we looking for in that last column? -5, okay? So in my table, I'm going to look, there's -12, -36. I need to go this way. What do you notice? There's a -36. What do you see? Do you see any of them? So this one is not factorable. That's a crappy example. Move down to 25. Now, realize there's a y on the end. Don't stress about that right now. We're just looking at our numbers. We need factors of -32 that add to 4. So in our calculator, we're going to do -32 divide x and -32 divide x plus x. We're looking for +4. There's a +14, +7. There's +4. What are my two answers? 8 and -4. Here's how you write them. We had an x in front and a +8, a y in the back. That's it. We have an x in front. You said the other factor was a -4 and a y in the back. Don't treat it any different. Okay, we just add the y to the end. All right, look at number 26. It is exactly the same way. In my calculator, what's the number that I'm going to put in? I need factors of, instead of -32, what am I put in this time? -50. I'm just going to type over it so I can be lazy. I'm looking for 5. If you look, I already have it up here. My two numbers are 10 and -5. So I have an x in front, a -5, and a y in the back. An x in front, a +10, and a y in the back. You don't have to do any work on these. Okay, you don't have to show me any work or anything like that. All right. I think this is a +30 and a -11. I don't know why it has that big line in it. So we're going to delete this out. We have a +30. And we're looking for -11. And it's right there on top too. So what are my two numbers? So we had a K in front, a -5, no number in the back or letter in the back, a K, and a -6. Use that calculator. Makes it so much easier. Okay. Well, what about the ones that I left, like 19, 22, and 24? They have a number in front. Tomorrow, we'll learn how to do numbers in front that aren't GCFs. These are going to be GCFs today. Okay, so I can take a 5 out of all of these. Your first step to factoring is always try to do that GCF so you can do the cheater method. Okay, we always want to do the cheater method in our calculator. We don't want to have to do slide and divide like I'm teaching you tomorrow. So the first thing that I'm going to do is take out that GCF of 5. If there are any letters in common, I'll take that out too. It leaves me with m squared plus 11m. What is 90 divided by 5? 18? Yeah. How do you know? Put it in your calculator. Don't feel bad about doing it, okay? Don't feel bad about doing it. Now, leave that 5 on the outside. I need factors of 18 that add to 11. 18, 18. Looking for positive 11. There's a negative. There's positive. What are they? 2 and 9. M in front. A positive 2. M in front. And a positive 9. So today, if there's a number in front, it's probably going to be your GCF. Okay. $22, we're going to get rid of that 3. So we divide everything by 3. Leaves us with a squared. We can do 45 divided by 3, which gives us 15a. 162 divided by 3. 54. Now we just bring down our 3, and we need factors of 54 that add to negative 15. 54. And then in our column, we're looking for negative 15. So there's negative 15.8. There's negative 15. Our variable is a minus 6, a, and a minus 9. The only thing I will tell you is if you're giving it to me like this and you accidentally make an X, that's fine. I think EDI only will have an A option. So make sure that you don't type in X for that and get it wrong because you put the wrong variable. Okay, just be careful about that. Any questions on this? The other two are just like that. It's GCF and then doing your factors. Okay, or the other last one. Any questions? All right, so I'm going to stop sharing, stop recording. If you guys really do have questions,